This is a banana, and you probably have one rotting in your kitchen right now. The fruit's low price point makes it a popular snack in the US. Why does the cost of a banana matter? And what does it have to do with migration from Central America to the US?
So then again, we have the US being involved, very actively involved, in deposing governments that the United States thought were not beneficial to the economic expansion of the United States and to the political well-being of the United States.
We know you like bananas.
US-based corporations like the United Fruit Company, who sourced their goods from lands they owned in Mexico and Central America, got involved in supporting autocrats in the region to protect their bottom line. It's also where we get the term Banana Republic. Going back as far as the 1800s, the Monroe Doctrine sought to end European colonization in the Western world. Later on, President Roosevelt used this doctrine as a way to advance US interests.
Once they gained their independence in the 1820s, then the United States became very interested in making sure that only the United States could intervene politically, economically, in any way.
In 1954, the CIA carried out a coup to oust the sitting president of Guatemala and assist the United Fruit Company's land interests under the guise of the Red Scare from the Soviet Union. This would be the first intelligence operation of many carried out by the US and Latin America in the name of anti-communism.
First, you duck, and then you cover.
It would be a hot, cold war fought in the U.S. backyard for decades as countries shifted their allegiances from the U.S. to the Soviet Union, beginning with Fidel Castro's Cuban Revolution. Then, during the 1979 Sandinista Revolution that toppled U.S.-backed dictator Anastasio Somoza, the U.S. began supplying weapons to counter-revolutionaries. When news broke of the Iran-Contra scandal, the public discovered the U.S. was selling weapons to Iran to help fund right-wing military groups in Nicaragua during Reagan's presidency that had been prohibited by Congress.
In the 1980s, Ronald Reagan pushed forth this belief that it was going to be a domino effect. Once one country, quote unquote, went communist, that then all the other countries would, quote unquote, go communist, and that then it would reach the Mexican border and the US would be, basically vulnerable to, these horrible things that he argued were going to happen or were already happening in Central America. These proxy wars took place in Central America, and hundreds of thousands of Central American lives were lost. And in the US, people just sat back and watched it happen on TV. Those billions and billions of dollars that went to support these right-wing governments that then, the CIA upheld, right? That is crucial. And so again, from the perspective of the US, how do you maintain hegemony, right? If not with a well-funded CIA.
Several decades of intervention from the U.S. led to the very issue the region deals with today, such as poverty, corruption, and government instability.
Migrants from the global south are less able to move than those from the global north. These histories of intervention affected the places that people in the modern day are coming from. This explicit intervention beyond the Monroe Doctrine really had a profound impact throughout the world.
Over the past 10 years, between 2010 and 2020, the number of apprehensions by U.S. Border Patrol stayed below 1 million. In the 2022 fiscal year alone, the number of apprehensions passed 2 million.
¿Por qué estamos en la situación actual? Sí, hay un incremento bastante fuerte de la cantidad de personas que migran hacia Estados Unidos, eso es innegable. La media de detenciones en la frontera sur antes de 2018, en los últimos 8 años, 10 años, era de 480,000 personas y se ha cuadruplicado, ¿no?
Corruption, lack of resources, and violence have driven many people away from their homes. It's estimated that over 2 million people have left Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador since 2014.
Y es una mezcla de situaciones. La crisis climática es uno de los grandes expulsores, la violencia por política, la violencia por pandillas, por el crimen organizado, el narcotráfico, de los grandes impulsores de la migración, la crisis propia ocasionada por el COVID-19 y sus efectos socioeconómicos.
Also, remittances, that's the money that gets sent back home, prop up some Central American economies more than taxes do.
When a war happens, it takes multiple generations to sort of get out of it and then thrive again, right? It doesn't happen overnight. And where did they end up? In the same villages that the US had, helped bomb in the 1980s. So the continuities are, you connect the dots and it's all there.
Advocates say politicians like Governor Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott have used migrants as political pawns, busing asylum seekers to places like Chicago and Washington, D.C., citing overrun cities. Back in 2014, the Obama administration expedited deportations during a migration surge in the U.S.
Honduras ousted its president in 2009. The Obama administration ensured that he did not return, and that the subsequent repressive governments have created the conditions in Honduras that people want to leave. These things happened, and we can verify that they happened. And it's important to be judicious and clear-eyed when talking about how the US's behavior and the US's actions in moments like this created the conditions that lead to this political football being played today.
This sense that that the U.S. is meeting these people for the first time, and so the racism involved in the characterization of Central American migrants is not only a bad thing, for Central Americans in the U.S. and Central Americans back in Central America, but it also dehumanizes the United States.